Good morning. And welcome to this Unitarian Universalist Church, which serves our congregations here in Birmingham, in Tuscaloosa, and all of our folks watching from home. Our settled minister, Reverend Julie Conradi, is on sabbatical through mid-September. As a reminder, if you have any questions or need pastoral care, please check out our sabbatical brochure, reach out to our lay leadership team, or contact Reverend Ruth Van Lillian, our sabbatical minister. Our guest speaker today is Anthony Hamley. His sermon is The Obligation Paradox, which will dive into moral obligation, which is often what drives us to be better humans, but can also bring crippling pressure and self-doubt. I'd also like to welcome back our talented guest pianist, John Thomas Morris. For those in the room today, please take a look at your connection card and fill it out on both sides. You can place it in the offertory basket when it comes around. Whoever you are, whoever you love, wherever you are today, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are most welcome here. To all who are here this morning, welcome home. The prelude prepares us for worship. We light our chalice today as a symbol of the light within all of us and the life that flows through the world around us. It is our beacon as we search for truth. It is the warmth that lives in our hearts for love. It is the energy that propels us into action. May we be kindled by our time together today. In the spirit of inclusivity and welcome, please take 2 minutes to greet the people around you. 2 minutes. Folks online, please greet each other in our chat.
I think okay. Please rise in body and spirit for our opening hymn, which is number 1010 in the paperback.
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and thus far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and thus far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Our Justice Minute today is actually going to come a little later in the service. We're going to be welcoming one of our guest speakers from TAKE, who is our Share the Plate recipient for this month. Our church is supported by those who call our church home and by those who support the efforts of this church to change the world for the better. If this is your first time visiting with us today, just pass the plate when it comes around. You are our guest, and we're glad that you're here with us. If you don't know, we share our cash plate every Sunday with organizations whose work reflects our UU values. This month, we are sharing our plate with TAKE, and we'll hear a little bit about them later in the service. Thank you for your generous support of our church and our Share the Plate recipient. May we give in love and in hope. Now is that time in our community where we share what we carry with us today, whether joy or sorrow. For those of you watching online, you're invited to type what is on your heart and your mind today in our online chat and support each other by putting parentheses around each other's names. For those of you in person, you are invited to come forward and drop a stone in our vase in honor or memory of what is on your heart today. Please come forward. Today, we lift up Elizabeth Cuniff's mother. Her name is Carol, and she is recovering from surgery. Today, we celebrate with Leela Allen and Johnny Merritt, who were married in the sanctuary on Friday night. They're not here today. They are on the train to New Orleans for their honeymoon. So we look forward to seeing you guys when you come back, and we're so excited for that family. May we keep one another in our hearts and minds this week. Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation, followed by a moment of silence. I love this reading. It's called A Prayer for Resilience by Douglas Taylor. O universe, from whom all things come and from whom all things will return, we gather on the edge of another week, and for some of us, on the edge of our strength. We come buoyed to the events of our week. At times, we come weary and worn down, and for many of us, that is how we arrive today. For those who have come today feeling lonely or lost, let us offer a prayer of resilience. Let us test all the tender places in our hearts and in our lives to see what healing could occur. Gratitude is often the best source of healing. We give thanks for music and good companions, for the guidance of great principles, and the examples of integrity all around us. We give thanks for all that lifts us up and for the lessons that lead us on. Remind us that we do not strive in vain. We are part of a chorus. Resilience is in our bones, and peace will prevail on earth, and that healing will come like soft rain. We ask this in the name of all that is holy. Let us take a moment of silence together. Amen, and blessed be. Will the children please come forward?
You're not the only one, I promise. There's a bunch of friends here today. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. As I say, I know there's a bunch of friends here today. I've seen them all. And there you two go, over onto that side. Every time. Oh, look, thank you for splitting the difference. So good morning, my friends. How is everyone? Good. Did we have a really exciting week? Anything happen this week for anybody? Nobody seems really excited about what happened this week. What happened this week, Violet? First day of school. Yay! That was last week. You're right. Oh, the very first day of the week? Well, I mean, in the week that just passed, something exciting happened. Is that better? Okay, thank you. Got to get my timeline correct. Well, I have a story that kind of has something to do with going to school. Does anyone here walk to their school? Does that sound like a... One time you did? Doesn't happen as much as it used to. Any of you grown-ups back there, did you walk to school when you were in school? Yeah, kids these days, doggone it. But yeah, so this is a story about my friend Leo, and he was walking home from school one day. It was probably that first day of school, I bet. And he saw something on the sidewalk. And it was small and brown and kind of beat up looking. When he picked it up, he realized it was a wallet. Interesting. Leo's eyes widened. Inside was a school ID and a library card, and whoa, $40 in cash. Whoa. That was more money than Leo had ever held all at once. The wallet belonged to someone named Jordan T. Leo didn't know Jordan T., but he did see that Jordan went to his school from his school ID. And for a moment, Leo imagined what he could do with $40. What could you do with $40, friends? You could buy something, yeah. You could eat a whole lot of ice cream. You could buy a Funko Pop. Well, what do you think, Thomas? You could buy a stuffed animal. So you could use it on a game, maybe like Minecraft or something. Oh my goodness. Or you could buy a car. You could buy some clothes. Well, when Leo imagined what he could do with that $40, he thought about buying a brand new Lego set. Or maybe going to the arcade with some of his friends, or even getting that new soccer ball that he had been saving up for. But then he looked again at the idea and he thought, you could buy a rock? Yeah, you could. But he looked at the idea again and thought, wait, what if this was my wallet? What if I lost that much money? I'd be really upset. So he looked around, but no one else was there, so no one would know if he kept it. But he would know. So Leo stood still on the sidewalk, holding the wallet tightly in both hands, but it would be right to return the wallet, right? What should he do? He should return it? What do you think? Return it? It would be easy to walk away with the money, though, but it would be the right thing. Leo remembered something that his teacher at the UU church told him once. Doing the right thing isn't always easy, but it always helps to build a better world. So Leo took a deep breath, and he made his choice. He walked straight up to the school office, and inside, he handed the wallet to Miss Patel, the school secretary, and said, "I found this on the sidewalk, and it belongs to someone named Jordan T." Miss Patel smiled. "Thank you, Leo. That was really kind and very honest of you to do." The next day at school, a very tall sixth grader, came up to Leo in the lunchroom. Leo felt very, very nervous. Was he in trouble? But the older student smiled and said, "Hey, I'm Jordan. I think you found my wallet, and I was really scared I was never going to see it again. Thanks for turning it in." And Leo smiled back, "No problem." Whew. As Jordan walked away, Leo felt something warm in his chest, not just pride, but peace, because he knew he had made the right decision, even though it was a hard thing to do. In Unitarian Universalism, we believe that the values of like truth and integrity and respect for others. We believe that every single person matters, right? And that even the people we don't know, they still matter. And we believe that we all help create a better world by making good and honest choices. Sometimes doing the right thing means giving up something that you may really want. But what we gain is trust, courage, and peace, and that is so much better. The end. Woohoo! Now, my friends, would you like to go outside? Woohoo! Grown-ups, could you sing us downstairs, please?
Anthony Hamley has been a high school English and philosophy teacher for over 25 years and a member of this church for over 20 years. He is married to Melissa Hamley, and they have 2 children, Zachary and Alex. Over the years, Anthony has served many, many roles in this church, including as president, VP. He has served on the Minister Search Committee, the Personnel Committee, and the Worship Associate Committee. He is now happily enjoying the retirement period of church service, with the exception of today. Please join me in welcoming Anthony to the pulpit.
Wow, I didn't know that we would clap for me coming up here. I'm Anthony, by the way, and I have to talk about today. It's called the obligation paradox. It's been a number of years since I've been up here, getting to see just an awesome space. From this view, it's just different. It's better. I'm a little older now. I have a little less hair, yet somehow shockingly more gray hair. I have the awesome readers on now, so I get to glare out at you like I'm your dad. I was very young when we started this church, so it's different now. And to speak to what Kate just said, coming out of retirement for a moment, boy, it's hard to tell Ruth no when she asks you something. But if I'm being honest, I'm here for me. And I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back to get an opportunity to say some few words that I've really been wanting to share with you guys for a long time and didn't really have the place or the opportunity. So I guess now's it. As indicated in Kate's introduction, my family and I, Melissa, our kids, we are fairly long-time members of this church. We were, I think it's fair to say, maybe based on what Kate was saying, deeply involved in the work of the church for 15 years, right up until the COVID shutdown. But since then, Melissa and I have returned on only a handful of occasions, and I know that's brought questions. What happened? What kind of drama? And our children seek the freedom of choice that young adults seek, and they are off doing things that young adults want to do. To those of you who knew us during our active period, it is deeply important to me, and I think to Melissa as well, that you know that our lack of church activity has very little, if anything, to do with the church. I'm proud of how this place has continued to evolve, overcome challenges that pop up with any group of good-hearted, idealistic, passionate folks. I've especially been happy to see how deeply engaged in the overall community Reverend Julie has been. When we were going through the search process, Julie stood out in that she wanted to lean into things. Like physically, she would lean forward when she spoke to us. She wanted to invite the challenges that come from refusing to sit in the background. She wanted UUCB to be out front, to be a voice of reason in an unreasonable world. And from all I've seen, she's going above and beyond. From my outsider's view, it appears UUCB has its clearest vision that I can remember ever having during my years here. Good on all of you for being courageous enough to have the presence and voice in a time when it's so desperately needed. I do appreciate it. But I'm not here today to celebrate the church, though I think you do deserve to be celebrated. Instead, I'm here to share a story that I've wanted to tell you since July. Ooh. I guess I still do get emotional. That I've wanted to share with you since July 23rd, 2021. A simple event on that one seemingly simple day has changed my life and perspective significantly. And that one moment allows me to be here today. Perhaps in the most literal sense of be here today. July 23rd was my father's birthday. Long-timers here might remember a message I spoke about one day quite a long time ago from right in this spot. In that message, I talked about the complicated memories, more painful than good, that he left me with. Memories that felt more like a knot I had to unravel but couldn't figure out how. For years after he died, I struggled with his birthday, missing him but not wanting to, being angry with him, feeling cheated out of so many things that normal families do, dealing with memories of so many things that normal families didn't do. I didn't yet truly understand the impact he had on me as of that day back in 2021, which brings me again to that simple event. I now think of that day, July 23rd, 2021, as my sobriety date. My last drink. And that day is mine now. The choice I made that night, that alcohol and I had to be done with each other, wasn't a choice I made willingly. Now, I'd been wanting to make the decision for a long time, but I couldn't figure out how to make myself do it. That night, All of the hiding I had done so effectively finally came to an end, and the choices I was left with were limited, to say the least. Between something I could accept, giving up this thing that was slowly destroying me, and something I could not accept, the consequences, which would touch multiple parts of my life if I continued. That choice, as it turned out, was suddenly an easy one. While the decision I made wasn't exactly something I willingly sought out, I'm tremendously grateful that I had to make it. I've now been sober for over 4 years. Perhaps you knew me then. And perhaps you knew I was struggling. I suspect that you didn't. Most people didn't know. They had no idea. And that, of course, was at the core of my problems. I didn't know how to tell people I needed something. I didn't know how to tell others, even my wife, that I no longer knew how to change what I was doing. And the work I've done to build healthier coping strategies, lots of meditation. I've identified a number of factors in my relationship with alcohol. My father's complicated legacy and trying to unravel that knot is factor one, and creating such self-destructive mechanisms. But there are 3 other factors playing significant roles in pulling me ever closer to that bottom you often hear people like me talk about, a bottom that I'm grateful I never quite reached. Factor 2, November 8th and 9th, 2016. I have a feeling that you know what those dates represent and the significant, if not irreparable damage to our country they would lead to. For me, that election was the end of a promise that I had believed in since I was a kid. While I have rejected, outgrown, or otherwise repressed many of the childhood lessons I received, the idea that America as a concept was being held together through a kind of covenant that we as Americans had all implicitly agreed to support no matter our differences. While we may not have always agreed with directions leaders wanted to take the U.S., there was a sense the nation ultimately had good intentions to continue this overwhelmingly idealistic experiment of building and maintaining a democracy that allowed us to have differing opinions, ways of life, values, and still all be Americans. Still all be on the same side, even if there were tensions. Electing someone who hated openly, paraded his racism, misogyny, and overall cruelty for all to see, and lied indiscriminately, often for no discernible reason, a lie because a lie could be told. I didn't understand a country that would willingly make him its leader. But you see, I'm an adult, and so I have obligation. And so the day after the election, I went back to my classroom, and I was honest with each of my 5 classes, made up of students from a variety of backgrounds, most notably from families descending from or recently immigrated from South or Southeast Asia, the very people a hateful demagogue got elected by demonizing. I told them I wasn't sure I understood what America was anymore, but that they, every last one of them, had value to me no matter what they might hear our leaders saying. I didn't know what else to do. Even worse, I didn't know how to explain that country to my own children. I didn't want them to believe that the U.S. was totally lost, that it wasn't a model for justice and freedom, but instead an obstacle to it. But I wasn't sure I disagreed with that feeling. So I hit a little deeper in a worsening problem. Factor 3, COVID. The fear we all felt, the cruelty I saw others practicing in defense of their freedoms to do whatever they wanted, no matter how they increased the chances of a pandemic becoming larger, no matter the risk of killing more people through selfishness. And then, when our very own community, Hoover, demanded that teachers go back to work, regardless of the dangers and risks that we didn't even yet fully understand. Silly me. I thought Melissa and I had a place in that community and that we had earned some level of value. It's how we had been treated to that point anyway. COVID, I really stand in the eyes of those in my city and neighborhood. It taught me where I think we all stand. We are valuable, just as long as we aren't an inconvenience. Even worse, hello. Check. Can you hear me? Well, that was interesting. Even worse than learning what is probably an invaluable lesson was the damage that time did to the mental health of everyone in my household. And of course, I felt an obligation to fix that. But of course, I couldn't. So I hit a little deeper in a worsening problem. And now here's the fun part. Factor 4 is related to my work in this church. While UUCB certainly didn't cause my problems, it gave me the avenue that would allow me, in my reasoning, the greatest excuse to lose myself. It all started on a simple Sunday in July of 2017. We are struggling with the mic. Am I here now? We're good? Okay. It all started on a simple Sunday in July of 2017. I was among a group of folks who had been nominated by the congregation and already confirmed by the board to make up the search committee. We hadn't actually been told this yet, so all of this happened before we were told. I quote from the UUCB president's email to us, "The congregation thinks you would best serve all of us in selecting our next minister." Now, maybe those words don't seem so to you, but to me, those are heavy. The words didn't mean that we had to accept, but they definitely meant that we had been called to do our duty. And that Sunday, in July 2017, was our first meeting together. And don't get me wrong, it was an honor to be on that list of names. I'm sure we all felt that way. But I don't think any of us fooled ourselves about the type of time and work commitment a venture like that would require. In full disclosure, I went to that meeting as a courtesy to Reverend Ed, who had asked me to attend. But you see, I had already told him that I wouldn't be accepting the role. As far as I was concerned, Hello, okay. The good news is this isn't my first rodeo, as they say, so just another day. The process in terms of accepting the job, not accepting the job, mirrored a similar one I'd undergone a number of times. I'm sure that we've all accepted a role that we didn't ask for and maybe didn't want, but we all felt the understood imperative to say yes. But that very process had become a symptom of some larger issues for me. I accepted the search committee chair because of obligation. I know I didn't serve simply because I felt a desire to serve the church. I mean, I did want to serve the church. But my brain told me I needed to earn the trust that so many amazing people were trying to put in me, both by nominating me to be on the committee and then asking me to chair it. The voice in my head commanded me to be the driving force to solve what I considered a problem. If you were here at that time, you might remember the years of seeming transition we had been in. After the retirement of longtime minister Karen Madison, we went through a period of 12 to 15 years when, if my memory serves, we had 2 settled ministers, 3 interim ministers, 1 year without a minister, and lay-led service after lay-led service. I know because I led many of them. And for obvious reasons, the church was ready for transition to end. And I felt that too. It certainly didn't help the amount of responsibility I personally felt. And just so you know, I do want to make this very clear. I'm not here to suggest that you shouldn't serve this church that you love. I hope there's no need for another search committee for many years, but if and when you are asked, I hope you consider saying yes. I'm also not here for the woe is me story. Look at the sacrifice I made. I am tremendously proud of the work that group did. We're not the reason UUCB's excellent minister is here, but we clearly played an important role in her decision to make Birmingham her home. I will always be grateful I served with that group. They showed me, the individuals in that group showed me how a team of incredibly talented, devoted people can come together without ego or pride, just for the opportunity to provide something that would deeply impact a place they loved. No one in that group kept a scoring system of who did what on that committee. They each did whatever was needed and whatever they could dream up and whatever I would ask of them. Working with them made me a better leader, and it made me a better person. But it also broke me. The pressure I put on myself to deserve the trust others had put in me. The pressure to solve a perceived problem that wasn't even mine to solve. And to clarify again, the committee wasn't the problem. The church wasn't the problem. My expectations of myself, the pressure, the feeling of obligation that I created for myself. This was not new for me. I could recount similar experiences over and over again where I would say yes to leadership roles, not because I wanted them, though I did undoubtedly feel pride in being asked. But I accepted those roles to prove to those asking me to take the role that I could do the thing that they were asking me to do. And obviously that's absurd. Clearly, they wouldn't have asked me to do the thing if they didn't think I could do the thing. But I still had to prove it to them. And more importantly, I had to prove it to me. The search committee just gave me the opportunity to demonstrate how much that drive controlled me, how significant those issues had become. During and after that year was when I would rush headfirst into my spiral of self-defeating coping cycles to the point that I didn't see a way to return. Even when a fellow church member stood up in this room and discussed the damage his drinking had done to his life and to his liver, his story hit me hard, but not hard enough to ask others for help finding a solution, not hard enough to make myself stop. Alcohol was how I coped with the pressure and responsibility I imagined for myself. It quieted the noise. And I will admit, since I stopped drinking, I don't have the thing that quiets that noise in the same way. The voices that were telling me what I owed to others, what I owed to myself, that was the one way I knew how to turn it off. And it's funny how the things that we are most proud of might also be the most damaging to us. I am so proud of that search committee. If you ask me anything about it, I will tell you nothing but good things. Truly. And that's the point of my message today. Some of you, I suspect, feel obligation the way I feel obligation. To justice, to what is right, to serve what you love. And here's the thing. We now live in a time when unjust, terrible, cruel things are happening right here, every day. This state, this country. And I know what you're telling yourself. Not on my watch. You're telling yourself, I will not be one of those people students learn about in history class. The ones who could have stood up, but didn't. That won't be me. I know you've said it. I have. That kind of obligation is, I think, right. It's good. It reminds us of selfless service and what it requires. That kind of obligation is also the potential breaking point for those who find themselves with the same kinds of voices, pressures that I had, that I still have. The obligation paradox. I remind all of us that we can't help others heal if we ourselves are broken. Knowing that line where obligation ends and self-destructive behavior begins is difficult and essential. I wish I had been able to exercise that kind of self-awareness much earlier in my life, but at least now, I mostly can. And I can wish that self-awareness for you in a time when we are all suffering from compassion fatigue, in a time when we all hurt and want to defend everyone. But the understanding of where that balance is, take it from me, can save your life. Good luck.
Okay, please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, which is number 299 in the hardback.
Make channels for the streams of love, where they may broadly run. And love has overflowing streams to fill them everyone. But if at any time we seize such channels to provide, these very founts of love for us will soon be parched and dried. For we must share if we would keep this gift all else above. We cease to give, we cease to have, such is the law of love.
Before our announcements, I would like to welcome up Daranisha Duncan Boyd from TAKE to tell us a little bit about our Share the Plate recipient for this month.
Good morning, everyone. I'm like the person that introduced me, say I'm Daranisha Duncan Boyd, right here from Birmingham, Alabama. Y'all can't hear me? Could y'all hear me now? Okay, I'm Daranisha Duncan Boyd from Birmingham, Alabama, the founder and executive director of TAKE Resource Center. TAKE stands for Transgenders, Advocates, Knowledgeable, Empowering. And at TAKE, we provide holistic services to Black and brown trans communities, but of course, I'm a woman of faith, and we welcome all there. So it's been non-people of color that have came and became members there at the organization. The organization is a one-stop shop. When I think of TAKE, TAKE was created because it was the younger Daranisha that I needed when I transitioned over 20 plus years ago. I won't give you the plus, just know that I have been around. And I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful that I don't look like the things that I have been through, but each and every one of the community members that come through the door is a reflection of me, is a reflection of the younger Daranisha, is experiencing some type of substance abuse, housing crisis, food insecurities, the list goes on. And it's simply a place of joy. When you come there, we want you to know that you're welcome to be there. You deserve this. You should enjoy this. You have the right to exist. And I know hearing the message earlier, talking about the current political climate that we're in now, and what's happening around the world. The world is not safe for none of us. You know, just because I'm Black first and I'm trans second doesn't mean that I don't have the right to exist in this world where we have someone that's there saying that people shouldn't have access to food, people shouldn't have access to health care. These are basic necessities that we all need to live and to thrive. So how Thank y'all. I didn't expect that, but of course, it spoke to someone in the room. But that's the message that I want to say, that we have to think about separating, what you see on the outside and be able to receive people from what they have on the inside of them. Because each and every one of us, when Judgment Day come, we all will go somewhere. And we all want to, get to the beautiful golden gates, pearly, and all these things that we have heard of. But how do we get there if we judge thy neighbor? What does that look like? How do we show up in a place that we don't think that a group of people should have the right to exist on this earth? What if we lived in a world that each and every one of us was that only person on this earth? What would that world look like? What would that world look like? So we need, I heard boring. So we need some type of diversity. So we need all type of people to exist on this earth. White, black, blue, green, like whatever. Like, people can see things outside of their imagination, and they can only, identify how they feel, and I think that we should be able to give people grace because, when I was in the streets, substance abuse, I thought about sobriety. You say you celebrating 4 years, I'm celebrating 14 years, so, and it's not an easy task, I tell you, it's not an easy task. And when I think about, just wanting to get clean and wanting to be great and wanting to see something different for myself, it was just like, no, I think this is a punishment from God because I'm trans. And then I had to remove myself from the Baptist thinking and being a strong Christian and what the Bible said and hearing these things that, my auntie and uncles would say to me as a child or whatever. And I was just like, you know what? If these people didn't create me, how could I let them control me? And I went back to church. And when I got back into church, I continued to pray to God to, shape me and to renew me and give me another chance or whatever. And it just seemed like once I got that connectivity back again with God, that my life just started to turn for the better. And, people oftentimes ask me, did I go to a treatment facility? And I said, no, I did it all on my own. Now, of course, I had to do it twice until I got it right. And I had to, experience some scares and have a couple light TIAs, and the doctor tell me, hey, Ms. Duncan, you're not gonna live to see 30. And I was 27 at this time. And I was just like, I got to make a change. Do I wanna die young, or do I wanna, just continue to celebrate and party and just say this was the end for me, And just to know that we have churches like the UUC that's out here that want to give back to communities, but most of all want to invest in marginalized communities where we know that Black and brown trans folks are the most marginalized. They are the most, folks that are ostracized and held back, and people don't want to talk about it. People don't want to have those conversations, If it ain't, as people say, straight, and I don't know where that comes from. It's, cisgender, transgender, and it's just keep going into all type of genders or whatever. So just being able to have this support from this congregation, it means a lot to the organization. Some of the things that we're working on currently now, we know housing, oh my God, is something that people need. But you don't have access to it because you got gentrification, you're getting forced out, people losing jobs, like the list goes on. So building out what I consider the state-of-the-art wraparound housing program is most important to me now. We've been running Gloria Safe Haven for the past 7 years now. Gloria Safe Haven is it's a story behind Gloria Safe Haven. I'll kind of keep it shorter around the story because the story is like intense, and one day maybe I can share it with people that's interested in it. But Gloria Safe Haven was founded because I got a call from Bryce Mental Behavior Center down in Tuscaloosa about a Black elder trans woman that was 60, maybe 62 or 63 at the time. And her family had just basically put her out and deemed her as being like this psychotic person or whatever. And when I got a chance to meet her, she was just so filled with joy, but she was crushed and hurt that she had no one to love her. And she would tell me, you know, when I die, dear Anisha, I want you to tell my life story. So she loved the song by Gladys Knight and the Pips or whatever. And so she got overwhelmed. I took her to a couple facilities. They denied her access. The nursing home told me that she would have to be placed with male gender, and it was just a lot. And I ended up taking her into my house. She stayed with me probably like 9 months before I just couldn't take any more. You know, I was trying to do the organization, take care of her, you know, take care of my husband. It was just a lot or whatever. And she ended up going into the hospital, and she got transferred to a nursing facility that would take her. And she passed away like a week later. And I think telling her life story was being able to open up the Gloria Safe Haven, where trans folks can be able to come and be safe if their family put them out or if they don't have anywhere to go, that they know that community is here to take care of them. And so it's a big picture of Gloria there. And you know, her life story is being told because y'all heard the condensed version of it today. But the holistic wraparound housing program is just simply building out models from emergency crisis housing to transitional housing to permanent supportive housing. So just building out those models, and so that's one of the biggest things that we're working on now. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Thank you so much. And as a reminder, if you want to make a donation to Take through our church, you can use PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle and just put Take or Share the Plate in the recipient line, and your donation will be shared with them. As a reminder, please fill out your connection card if you have not already and give it to an usher on the way out the door today. Courtney and Kim would like to remind everyone that they have started a new lunch bunch group. This group meets here at the church on Thursdays at 11. Bring your own lunch and get prepared to have silly conversation with your UUCB friends. And then on behalf of the UUCT Partnership Committee, want to put this out that on Saturday, August 23rd, a big group of us are heading down to Utah, Alabama for the 50th anniversary of the Black Roots Folk Festival. This is live blues music all day long, no admission fee. However, there's tons of crafts and food vendors that you can purchase from while you're there. It's a 45-minute trip from Tuscaloosa or just a 2-hour drive for Birmingham. If you are interested in carpooling with others, I've got a sign-up sheet in the narthex. I'm driving and a couple other people are, so if you're interested in going, please let us know and we can get a head count. And finally, the Justice Committee section of the all-church email was accidentally cut this week, but Helen always has plenty of announcements for us. So if you want to get the Justice minutes from this week, please just reach out to Helen and she will send that to you. And there are some yard signs out in the front that are Justice for DeForest Johnson yard signs, and they are available to anyone who wants to take those home and display them. And now we'll extinguish our chalice. We have come to the end of this service, but not our calling in the world. We close our time together with a humble reminder that justice and equity are our spiritual practices to embrace every day. We are blessed to be the embodiment of what is possible when justice and equity ground us in all we do. May we go forth today with the light and the warmth of our chalice in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank